Welcome to Conversations with Kay, where I just tell it like it is. Today we're going to talk about Dr. William Husel. I like to call him Dr. Death. This is a local case here in Ohio at a hospital my family is familiar with. I've had family members there. My daughter worked there. So this one really hits close to home. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it, but the problem was when he got charged a couple years ago, that's right when COVID hit. So his trial kept getting delayed and delayed. So right now we are in the middle of his trial. Yesterday the judge adjourned the jury while they go over some things or whether they're going to be admissible in court. So I'm dying to know what that is, but we're not going to find out maybe until Monday or maybe not at all if the judge doesn't allow it. So to me, this is such a fascinating case, and it has so many ethical questions. And I watched locally, has some people think he did the right thing, others think he's horrible and a serial killer. My opinion, and yes, this video is just my opinions, and nothing should be construed as facts. He's a serial killer. That's how I feel. Now, keep in mind, his wife was also a nurse there and was involved in at least one of the cases of overdosing a patient. But I want to go just a little bit into his background. He did have several charges against him in his youth. He did a pipe bomb in 1996 at college. So not like he was a teenager. He was in college. He was charged with that, and I believe he served jail time over that. A couple years before that, he stole a car. So to me, this is kind of telling of the kind of person he is. I know they said when he applied for his Ohio doctor's license, he had to beg the board to overlook his past. And I feel like in hindsight, nobody should have overlooked his past. So that brings you kind of up to date. Originally, he was accused of overdosing 29 patients. This number's kind of gone back and forth between 24 and 29. When his trial originally started, he was charged with many more victims. They've kind of whittled it down to 14. I think they did that just to make the trial easier. You could imagine if you get too many charges, everything gets too convoluted. So I think they whittled it down to the 14 best cases. Just to add some more drama into this court case, guess who his attorney is? None other than Jose Baez. Yes, you heard that right. Jose Baez is his attorney. I didn't even know that guy was still practicing law. I thought he went to Hollywood after the Casey Anthony case. But yeah, he's still practicing law, and that's his attorney. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyway, Dr. Husel was supposed to be like a specialist in intensive care. So that's what he was doing. And that's how he, in my opinion, killed these patients and got away with it for as many years as he did, because many of these patients were dying. But does that give him the right to overdose them and hasten their death? There's the question. Some people, I've seen so many people say on social media, that's the kind of doctor to have. Why let these people lay there? He just lessened their misery, helped their families out. They were going to die anyway. But see, that's a slippery slope, because now you have a doctor deciding on his own when somebody is going to die and doing it for them. So here's the point. Many of these patients were not dying. They could have recovered. So maybe he started out being an angel of mercy, but in my opinion, he ended up being a doctor of death. He would go to these patients' families and tell them, your loved one is brain dead. There's nothing more we can do. Do you want to withdraw life support? Now keep in mind, he would just do this. There was nothing backing up that they were brain dead. In Ohio, you have to have 2 separate doctors on separate days run their tests and agree that somebody is brain dead. But Dr. Husel just skipped those steps. He would just go to him and say, yeah, they're brain dead. Do you want to withdraw life support? So many of them did. But then again, they thought they would die naturally when they withdrew the life support. Well, not with Dr. Husel, because what he would do is prescribe huge amounts of fentanyl when they would pull the intubation. So he was prescribing 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl as they came off the respirator. So most of them died within minutes. And during the trial, I thought that was so interesting that they did a display. To get to 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl takes 10 vials. Now, we all know what a vial looks like. So it would take 10 of them. Just crazy stuff. So, of course, once these patients got these huge amounts of fentanyl, they would pass away. And keep in mind, like I said, not all of them were dying. There was one where a woman had overdosed on cocaine, and he gave her a huge dose of fentanyl, and she died. Another one had had a heart attack, but they thought they were going to make it, and Dr. Husel decided to give them yet one of his huge doses of fentanyl, and they passed away. Just crazy stuff. I can't see how anybody could agree that this is okay. And this is, in my opinion, the problem when you start saying that a doctor should be able to hasten somebody's death. It's that slippery slope I talked about, because then who knows who they decide should die that day. It's not supposed to be up to him. You know, at least Dr. Kevorkian made people consent. He didn't get these people's consent. They didn't ask him to do this. Horrible, horrible. Mount Carmel has paid out millions in settlements, millions. And the thing that really ticked me off too was so much of this trickled down, as I always say, shit runs downhill, right? So then all the nurses were getting blamed, and then the pharmacists, but here's the thing. In 24 out of 27 overdoses, he used the Pyxis machine and overrode it so that the pharmacist didn't even know. And it's like one of the pharmacists in the trial said, by him overriding the machine and getting the medicine himself, the pharmacist wouldn't see it until after the patient had already been overdosed and died. And then what good is it going to do now? Because the patient's already dead. But I feel bad mostly for the nurses, because a couple of them said they did question it. But you know, there's this thing where you're not supposed to question a doctor. So how does that work? Supposedly Mount Carmel has changed the way they operate. We can only hope. It scares me to death thinking my husband was in there. Just scares me to death. We are so lucky he got out of there alive, because that was during the time that Dr. Husel was there. I just can't even imagine. And I feel so bad for these families, and I feel especially bad for them when they read social media and people are saying, oh, they were going to die anyway. He just kept them from suffering. That's not how any of this works. That's not how it works. Your doctor doesn't get to overdose you because he thinks your life is not worth living. That's not how it works. So anyway, it's a really interesting trial. Like I said, it's ongoing. Katie and I are going to do a live talking about the ethics of this and what do people think of this. And like I said, the trial's ongoing. So we may wait a week and see what happens this week in the trial and then go live. But we'll see. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Was he an angel of mercy, or is he a doctor of death? Is this the kind of doctor you want taking care of your family members? Anyway, have a great day and hold your family close.